Welcome back, everyone. Let's continue in part 2 with trade volume again amongst countries. So, increase the networking and increase the volume trade restrictions on imports. So, trade volume among countries also played an important role. So, how do you stimulate or encourage people in our neighboring countries here in Malaysia to do trade with us? Maybe no tax on dealing with us, or no need for visa, etc. Like there are many laws we can issue to basically stimulate these people, encourage them to come to us and do business. So finally, government policies, which is the most important aspects. If the government does not want you to buy something from Indonesia, they can somehow force you to. How? By higher taxes. So it's not feasible for you anymore to do it. It's not profitable to buy raw materials from Indonesia. Why? Simply because tax rate is very high in comparison to Thailand. For example, just giving a hypothetical example. Okay. Let's now continue to the factors affecting international trade flows. So, again, what are the factors that affect international trade of flows? Number one, cost of labor. To produce something and make it really cheap, so make it very competitive, what do you need? You need low cost. How do you get low cost? We discussed that. So firms in countries where labor costs are low commonly have an advantage when competing globally. Why? You can offer better prices. Look at the Chinese products all over the world. They are the cheapest. Why? Of course, they don't pay $15 per hour, I'm sure. Because if you do that, it's impossible to offer the product at this price and still, have a profit. Inflation. We discussed inflation before. It really matters a lot in international finance. What's inflation? Prices goes up. This will also play a massive role. Where do you wanna current account decreases? So our current account for Malaysia will decrease if inflation increase relative to trade partners. If our prices increase, no one will buy from us. It will become more expensive for them. So it will affect our current account, right? We will have less cash inflow because of the higher prices, not competitive in the international market. Credit conditions. What is credit? Can I borrow? Yes. Can I borrow? No. Why? Why would the answer would be yes or no? Usually, it's associated with the overall economic activity. So we say when things are good, you can borrow, right? When the whole economy is doing well, like few years back, tourism was very good, everything was good, the government is doing new projects, MRT almost done, etc. If things are good, everyone is doing well, everyone is profiting, so banks start to give money, and vice versa. Corona started, people have no money, banks start to realize that risks are higher now. Non-repayment risk, we call it, credit risk. Why? Because they are collapsing. These businesses are getting out of the market. Why? Because of Corona. What is Corona? It's something that affected the whole economy. So we notice that banks decrease credit to MNCs during financial issues, financial major problems, such as what we are witnessing nowadays. Why? Because they don't want a high NPL, non-performing loan. What is non-performing loan? The loan that is not performing. So people suddenly stop paying their loans. Why? Many reasons. They die, they lose their jobs, many reasons. However, banks, regardless of the reason, whether it's genuine or not genuine, they don't care. They just want their money back. So they will lend less when things are not doing well in the economy. Impact of government policies. I said this is the most important aspect if you ask me, because governments can do many things to prevent you from buying from a certain country. Restrictions on imports, subsidies for exports. Sometimes the government want Malaysian farmers to import more CPO, so they help them. They help them farm better, they provide them with technological, new technologies, etc. They might even give them something for free. Why? To improve the industry, so make it more competitive after a few years so they can rely on themselves. But now they need help. It's like a baby, right? You need to give him your hand to walk. Once he's walking well, you can let him run. So, restrictions on piracy. Do you let pirates come to your country or not? Back in the days, it used to be pirates. Now it's all cyber pirates. So, do people in Malaysia buy original Windows, for example? Before Windows comes here, Microsoft Windows, and starts a business here, they want to know, will people buy the original product or not? If not, why bother? If yes, they will come. So who says yes? Government. We look at the government. Is the government taking the proper actions to protect us as Microsoft Windows? Environmental restrictions. Many of the Scandinavian countries focus a lot on environment, and if you don't take care of these things, it will also affect labor laws. How much do you pay per hour? Some countries, such as Canada, they say to all companies in the economy, you cannot pay any worker less than 15 Canadian dollars per hour. If you don't want to do that, don't come here. Don't bother. Okay? Tax breaks. So do you give tax break on some industries to encourage them to do better, to encourage them to come and work in our country? Country security laws, government ownership or subsidies. Does the government take care of business or does it privatize it? Does it give it to companies? All of these things will play some role in my decision as an MNC to come or not. So as an MNC, I don't look at one or two things. It's very complicated. I will take care of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, analyze them. MNCs have great resources. They have many staff, right? They have so much staff. They can do a lot of things. So they're powerful. So they will take care of all of these details. Country security laws, policies to punish country governments, etc. Sometimes even changing of laws. Do you change laws often? If you do, it's risky for me to come to your country. Suddenly you say we don't want foreigners to do this. This decision can ruin my whole company. So I will be very cautious. And finally, and most importantly, exchange rates. As we've seen, exchange rates, so ringgit to USD, is it improving or is it depreciating? What does that mean to me as an MNC? It means so much. We will see later. It will always be the question, shall I go to Singapore or Thailand? You ask me why? Why these two options? Say because both have what I need. Let's say considering raw materials. They both have rice. Okay, let's say I need rice. Good quality rice. However, I am Malaysian at the end of the day. I want to come back to Malaysia. So at the end of my investment, I want to convert my money whether it's Thai baht or Singaporean dollar, and convert it back to Malaysian ringgit. So what country is better for me in terms of value of currency only? I will tell you, I think Malaysian ringgit, based on history, is going to appreciate against Thai baht. So is that good for you? No, it's not. Why? You're doing business in Thailand. You collect 1 million baht. You want to go back home, send it back home, but Malaysian ringgit is stronger. So now you convert 1 million baht and it's less in ringgits. Okay? What about Singapore? Singaporean dollar, the opposite, is appreciating, more value against ringgit. So is it better for me to operate in Singapore? Yes. You collect $1 million, you send it back to Malaysia, and it's more. Why? Simply because Singaporean dollar is stronger. So now when I convert it back, I can buy more things in Malaysia. Okay, let's continue with the next slide. Now we will move the focus to capital flows. We were discussing trade, now capital. Factors affecting direct foreign investment. So what affects DFI? You said DFI is the most important thing. You bring a company here, they start new here, everything will be bought from here maybe. A lot of Malaysians will benefit. So what affects my decision as an MNC to go and start business in Malaysia? Changes in restrictions. New opportunities have arisen from the removal of government barriers. So governments suddenly realized how important DFI for the country. So they started making it easy for you to come, encouraging you in many ways. Number two, privatization. DFI is stimulated by new business opportunities associated with privatization. Okay, I advise you to go to Egypt. You say, no, I don't want Egypt. So why? Say, government controls everything. Electricity, water supplies, trains, metros, blah, blah, blah. So why you don't want that? Because government will be very harsh on me. So you want an economy where everything is privatized. Why do we like things to be privatized or owned by private business? Because we believe government is powerful, but companies, it's not about power anymore. It's about efficiency, it's about productivity, it's about being, like good to the people, right? That's the only reason why they would buy from you. Whereby when it was governmental, there was no option. There was one option, government. So I cannot bargain. Whereby when it's privatized, you notice competition level increases very quickly. Why? Because many providers, coming players from all over the world competing in Malaysia. So suddenly Malaysia becomes like a hub, very advanced in terms of techniques, technologies, etc. So managers of privately owned businesses are motivated to ensure profitability, further stimulating DFI. Okay, let's continue with potential economic growth. Where do you want to go? Again, Singapore or Thailand? I say, tell me more about the economy. Which economy has been improving, has been doing better? Okay, so that will affect my decision. Of course, countries with greater potential for economic growth are more likely to attract DFI. Tax rates, one critical aspect. Do you want to go to Europe or Dubai? Europe, tax rate 40%, Dubai, 0. Of course, Dubai. If I make 1 million here and 1 million here, in Dubai, I get 1 million totally. In what we said in Europe, 40% deduction. 1 million, only 600 remain. So, finally, again, exchange rates. Exchange rates will always play a role. We just discussed the example of Thailand and Singapore. So firms typically prefer to pursue DFI in countries where the local currency is expected to strengthen against their currency. Now you understand why. Because when I convert the money and go back home, I want to be having more local currency. So to do that, I need to go to a country where the currency is appreciating against my currency. Now let's continue with portfolios. So is there factors that also help with improving portfolio investments? What's portfolio? Buying stocks in US, buying stocks in Malaysia from Petronas, buying stocks in different countries all across the world. Again, what affects your decision? Tax rate. So when you profit from buying a Petronas stock, you also pay taxes. So how much is the rate? Is it 5, 10%, or 40%? It will affect my decision 100%. Investors normally prefer to invest in a country where taxes are relatively low. Dubai, Gulf countries, Middle East countries, maybe high risk, but no tax, right? Tax will deduct 40% of your profits in Europe. That's a lot. So you notice many investors in Europe fled, they went Asia and different countries. Interest rates, of course, money tends to flow to countries with high interest rates. Why? You want higher profit, higher interest payment. As long as the local currencies are not expected to weaken. Don't be tricked by this. It must be high interest rate, but also good currency. You invest in, the example we gave last class was Turkey. In Turkey, interest rate is very high. However, currency is depreciating, so you gain 20% interest and then 18% depreciation in country currency, so only 2% left. Now, finally, let's shift the discussion to how basically these, what we've witnessing, globalization is getting, more and more everywhere in the world, even in small economies. Now you go there, you find Twix, you find Mars, you find Pepsi, you find Zara, you find H&M. It's almost the same companies controlling all over the world. So how did these basically MNCs came to this level? It didn't start at 1 day or 2 days. It took a long time. So there are some institutions that facilitated this trade volume increase. Okay, we start with IMF. What's IMF? International Monetary Fund. What's the major objective? Promote cooperation among countries on international monetary issues. Cooperation, stability in exchange rates. So previously exchange rates keep changing. We want it to be more stable, right? So basically, how do you stabilize it? More volume, more players, changing currencies. How you do that? You need people to buy and sell from one another all over the world. So provide temporary funds to member countries. So if you are a member country, you need help, they provide you with it. Attempting, not for anything, for correcting imbalances of international payments. So we will help you to get back on track when it comes to international payments. Promote free mobility of capital. It helps you, move the capital, invest in more than one country to basically mitigate your risk, we say, by diversifying the risk. So instead of putting all the eggs in Malaysia, I put it in different baskets. Promote free trade. It's clear from these objectives that the IMF's goal encourage increased internationalization of business. So its compensatory financing facility attempts to reduce the impact of export instability on countries. Financing is measured in special drawings, right? So it's like the currency instead of, so how would the IMF lend you money, in dollars or in euro? Why dollar? It will be a basket. We call it special drawing right units. So later when you pay back, you pay in different currencies according to the SDR. World Bank, we all hear of WB, International Bank for Reconstruction and Development. Now the major objective here is to provide loans to enhance economic development in general, to improve the economic conditions of the whole country. Structural adjustment loans, they provide you with loans called structural adjustment to restructure the whole thing, right? Maybe to build a really new facilities that can basically be the host for a good economy, or for DFI, etc. Funds are distributed through financing agreements, official aid agencies, export credit agencies, commercial banks. Now let's move to WTO, World Trade Organization. What's the major objective? Provide a forum for multilateral trade negotiations and settle trade disputes related to the GATT. Remember the GATT we just discussed a few slides ago. So what if members had an argument? Who would be the judge? It's over countries. There is no court sitting, in the middle between the countries. So basically here we see the importance of WTO to basically judge among these people and try to resolve disputes. Member countries are giving voting rights that are used to make judgments. So how do we judge? There will be members, there will be rights to vote about trade disputes and other issues. So it's very critical, if you want to have a healthy international trade, to have a judge. And the judge now cannot be located in one country, must be sitting in multiple of countries, which is impossible. However, in WTO, we can have the judge. Who's the judge? Voting members. They can take a look at the issue and give opinions to resolve it. Let's continue with IFC, International Financial Corporation. Major objective of IFC is to promote private enterprise within countries. Now, what's the focus here? I want to focus on privatization. Why? Because to a certain degree, privatization must be in some, it proved to be the best in some aspects, right? Many countries have witnessed privatization of electricity, for example, provider, and it became way better, cheaper, more competitive. So basically, in some aspects, privatization will always be the solution for some economic restructuring, etc. It provides loan to corporations and purchases stock. It traditionally has obtained financing from WB, but can borrow in international financial markets as well. Next, IDA, International Development Association. What's the objective here? Extends loan at very low interest rates to whom? Poor nations that cannot qualify for loans from WB. So to qualify for a loan from WB, it's not easy. You need requirements, like same with banks. How much is your salary? How long have you been working? Blah, blah, blah. However, some countries are so poor, their economy is terrible, war, etc., like my country, so they cannot actually qualify for a loan. What can we do with these people? No problem. We will create one association called IDA Development Association, just to provide loans to these very super poor countries. Now let's move to OECD. Sure, you've heard of it. Organization for Economic Cooperation and Development. What's the major objective? Facilitate governance. So now we noticed governance is different. How do we govern companies? How do we govern banks? How do we govern governmental companies, etc. Right? Governance has been always a debate. How do we govern? Is it better to punish? Is it better to help? Is it better to give verbal punishment or verbal warning, etc.? Okay. So, what's the major objective of OECD is to standardize these governance actions and like how do you govern this kind of company? Maybe we should share our opinions to find one unified standardized way to improve harmony among the countries and learn one from another. So it has 30 member countries and has relationship with numerous countries, and it facilitates again governance in governments and corporations of countries with market economies. And finally, it promotes international country relationships that lead to globalization. Again, what's globalization? The whole globe becomes one country. You can access whatever you want. You want to buy Twix, you can buy it instantly in Malaysia for a very good price. That's globalization. BIS, Bank of International Settlements, major objective, facilitate cooperation among countries with regard to international transactions. So I will facilitate basically settlements between Malaysia and Singapore, Malaysia and Thailand, etc. It provides assistance to countries experiencing a financial crisis. Suddenly, we noticed Malaysia is, not doing well. Malaysian ringgit started to go up and down very quickly, fluctuate, we say, so much between one day and another. Maybe BIS might come, see what's wrong, try to give us some help on how to get back on track. Regional development agencies. So is it all sitting on, like across the whole world, or is there some agencies that focus on some regions like Asia? We need an agency, US maybe, and it's American countries, Canada, etc., Europe, Middle East, etc. So we have that, of course. It doesn't mean you can't be there if you have to be here. You can enter into 1, 2, 3, many neighboring basically agreements. So Inter-American Development Bank focusing on the needs for Latin America, Brazil, Argentina, etc. Asian Development Bank established to enhance social and economic development in Asia, African, similarly in Africa, European in Europe. There is no harm if you take the time and Google some of these institutions. Just read 5 minutes on Wikipedia, learn more. It's always better. I always encourage my students to be familiar with these organizations, just to know what does it do. Just read 5 minutes should be enough for now. Next. So I think we're done here. Yeah, last slide. So thank you very much, guys. I hope you enjoyed the class, and please, I really need your help here, guys. I need you to provide me with your feedback. The best way to do it is be honest. Just tell me whether anything can be improved, whether I can do something for you. And more importantly, please prepare your questions for our Q&A session, inshallah. So provide your basically slide number with the question, and inshallah I will be there to answer your questions. Thank you very much. Stay safe. Wassalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.